Take me home tonight. Listen, honey, just like Ronnie said. Just like Ronnie said. Whoa, whoa, yeah.
All right. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the unofficial official podcast from Straight from Chaser, episode number 25. As always, I am Mike here with Seggie and Tyler. What's up, guys? How we doing tonight?
Doing good, good, good.
What's going on?
Yeah. It's nice to see you guys. I'm excited for this episode because we're going to wrap up our series on the guys in the group. We're going to have a conversation with Seggie this evening. We're going to hear all about his journey to where he is now. And we're going to get into some questions from the listeners. We put up a questionnaire on Instagram, so we're going to get to all those questions. I'm excited to see those. I'm not sure how many we got, but I think we have a lot.
Just one.
Just
He's not
one?
very, yeah, he's not very, people don't like him, I guess. I'm just kidding. No, there's a bunch.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's going to be the focus of this episode, and we're going to have a good time. But
I want to say, if you're watching on the YouTube and for the listener at home, our special guest and also a big part of our podcast, Seggie, is dressed very nicely. He is in, I would have to imagine, $1,000 suit, $500 bow tie,
easily.
and $200 pocket square. That's my guess.
I'm
He only wears Thomas Pink.
I only wear Thomas Pink.
I don't even know what that is.
That's an inside joke about
Okay.
about somebody else. Yeah, I thought I was going to be the guest today, so I thought I'd come
Yeah.
prepared, looking well. I'm wearing half a tuxedo, so it's great.
I thought you were going to say, I'm late to this gala, so if we could just hurry this along.
No, not a lot of galas on Wednesday nights
Oh, no?
in Rochester. No,
Yeah. Rochester, Michigan.
Shout out.
That's where you grew up? Oh,
it's not. Grew up in Madison Heights, Michigan.
Madison Heights, Michigan. Okay. Have you lived in Michigan your whole life then?
I lived in Michigan from birth to 18.
Mhm.
And then returned in 2015 at the age of 32?
Okay. So you'd say that
I've lived here for the majority of my
Michigan is where you're, yeah.
life.
And all of your
and
family's there
Rochester.
too, right? All right.
Yeah,
All
whole
of your family's
here.
there.
My brother was in Vegas for a long time, but he's back. He
Yeah.
moved back to Michigan before I did. But yeah, Michigan's the spot, baby.
Yeah. I have a question. So when you were growing up, what was your entrance into music? Was it something you always knew that you wanted to do, or was there like a specific moment that happened? How did that all start, like in your world?
So I think like a lot of us, like my first time like really like singing around other people was in church.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing was like we went to St. Joseph Catholic Chaldean Church. It's a Roman Catholic church, but it's all in Chaldean. They do English masses now, but growing up it was all in Chaldean, and I didn't speak Chaldean. I spoke Assyrian in English. So I would sing all these songs and had no idea what I was saying. So I would like church is boring for kids. Now imagine you're a kid and you're in church
Yeah.
and you don't even know the language. But I liked singing the songs, so I knew that much. The sitting and standing it's a lot in a Catholic church. It's
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
everybody gets up and then you stay up for a while, then you go down, then you stand up, and you bow your head, you go down, then you got to go down on your knees on the little platform thing, which is great. I just followed everyone else's lead because I didn't know what was happening, but I liked singing the songs.
Sure.
And then in kindergarten, you've got music class. And at my school, so at Lessinger Elementary School in the Lanphier schools, we had all the elementary schools had the same music teacher. He used to travel to each elementary school. I think there was like 5 elementary schools. And his name was Dr. Phillips. And he was the best, just unbelievable guy. He was my music teacher all through elementary school. And he also was the music director of all the musicals in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
cool.
in kindergarten, he like pulled my mom aside at some point and was like, hey, like he can sing pretty well. Like he can sing in tune and he can follow the music. He can't read music yet, but he can follow it, understand what he's supposed to do. So like nurture that.
Sure.
She did. So she made sure that like I was always singing, and then cut to like fifth grade. Fifth grade is where they introduced band. And I was super hyped for band because like I don't really come from a musical family. My brother played the drums, but other than that, nothing really. So I was really excited to play the drums in band. Like my brother had a full set, and my uncle was a drummer, two drummers in the family. So my uncle had like a sick full set that we always used to play on when we were at his house. So like I was somewhat familiar with a full drum set. I could like
Yeah.
tinker around with it. So I was super hype in fifth grade. Let's go. So what they do is they bring you in a room and they've got all the instruments laid out and they're like, all right, which one do you want to do? And I'm like, I want the drums. And in fifth grade, you don't play a drum set. There's a small rubber pad. And they're like, this,
Yeah.
this is what you're gonna play for the first like 2 years. And I was like, what is this crap? I don't want this. I don't want this. I want a drum set. They're like, oh no, that's not until eighth grade. I was like, okay, let me do
We
a
have
sax.
percussion.
Yeah, I was like, let me do a saxophone then. That's like a cool instrument. I'll try that. And they're like, oh, we're sorry. Those are all checked out already. Like they're all full. And I was like, all right, what's like another cool thing? And they're like, how about the trumpet? So I was like, all right. And it was my band director in fifth grade was also my band director in high school. His name was Mr. Milch. Awesome dude. And he had me hold the trumpet and he was like, all right, try to play it. And when I tried to play it,
Just
I
crushed it.
I Flight of the Bumblebee perfectly. No, but I was able to like make a sound, which is
Right.
like a big deal in
It's
fifth
hard to
grade.
do. Yeah.
So he's like, all right, this is what you're playing. And I was like, okay, cool.
Not to make this, that's almost exactly my band experience too. We had like old trumpet at my house, and I like knew how to make a sound. And I was saying thing is, oh, you can make a sound, you're in.
Yeah, I mean, if you could make a sound in fifth grade, like
Yeah.
you're the best in the world. Like,
Yeah.
because most kids can't. Like,
Right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, I've been trying to teach Leo and Mila, and it's
Yeah.
not. They got, I think, like fifth grade, like you can understand like embouchure and dexterity and all that. But so once I started playing the trumpet, I was also singing. I was always doing musicals. In middle school, show choir was a really big part of my life, and also in high school. And our show
Really?
choir, yeah, our show choir director, Mrs. Hindelang, was
Didn't know
unbelievable.
that.
She's a really great friend. But I just got really lucky. Like I grew up in a very smallish town. Like my
Hmm.
high school had 650 kids before I moved to Rochester and finished high school there. And there was like over 2,000 or whatever, 1,000, whatever it is. But like to have the teachers, so I had Dr. Phillips, Mr. Milch, Mr. McLaughlin, who's my band director in middle school, Mrs. Hindelang, who's my show choir director in middle school, and then Mr. Ensley, who was my drama director in high school, and then Mr. Milch again in high school, and then Mr. Toma and Mr. Gollin at Rochester High School.
There's a spreadsheet later of it all. So
Yeah,
we'll
there's
just
going to
have
be a
it.
quiz for all the listeners. But no, I want to shout them out because you hear story like when you listen to as many podcasts as we do, like you hear a lot of stories where they'll be like, yeah, you were this thing in school, but no one noticed, right?
Hmm.
No one like pulled you aside and was like, hey, you should keep doing this. Like this could be a
Right.
thing for you, or at least keep doing it now because you're good at it. Um, I was just really lucky that I had these teachers that I had because they saw something and encouraged me to go for it and to nurture it. Because I
Hmm.
was always loud in class. I was always a smart ass. I was always trying to be
You?
funny. Yeah, I was always trying to be funny and everything. And a lot of times, like most teachers are going to be like, hey, shut up or stop doing that
Yeah.
or go to the office. Like in fifth grade on the first day, Mr. Kane moved my desk into the hallway because I was so disruptive. And like throughout the year, he would like, if you were like acting up in class, he would send you to the library to
Yeah.
Yeah.
chill out. But the
Awesome.
librarian would send me back.
That's funny.
He's too loud.
What was it like having to move high schools?
Yeah, good question.
So I didn't have to.
Yeah.
It was second semester of my junior year, and it was out of nowhere. Like we were not planning on moving. My mom was like trying to beat rush hour one day, and
Uh,
she like took an alternate route, and it took her through this neighborhood, and she saw this house for sale, and she's, I want that house.
no
Wow.
way.
That was it.
Okay.
So
Really? That was it,
yeah,
huh?
that was it. So I talked to the superintendent at the high school that I was currently at, and they were like, it's second, you're about to be in second semester junior year. You could just stay and finish out. Like it's
Yeah,
fine.
why would you move?
Yeah,
Yeah, why would
yeah.
you go?
It's like a 15-minute drive. It's not a big deal. Like
Sure.
I could drive. So they're like, if you want to stay, you could stay. But I was like, you know what? I've been in this school district since kindergarten, and it's so small that like you're with the same kids kindergarten through senior year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're trying to find out if you're like actually really good at something, like you
Mm.
want to challenge yourself as much as possible. Like I was doing competitions and solo ensemble and all that stuff, and I was doing really well in those. But I was like, I want to have a big social challenge. Like I want to throw myself in a completely new environment and
Wow.
see how quickly I can make friends and see where
Mm-hmm.
I land and like the social scale. So I decided to switch schools, and I think some of my friends at my old school were not thrilled. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was some sort of traitor or something, which is fine, whatever. It's high school. Um, but it was great. Like I went to
Yeah,
Rochester, and Mr. Toma there, my band director there was awesome, and he was another one that was always pushing me to pursue this.
right.
Mr. Gollin, my theater director there, same thing. And the only reason IU was on my radar was because I switched schools. So
Really?
I go to Rochester, and our principal at the time, Dr. May, went to IU, and
Okay.
he and Mr. Toma pulled me aside, and they were like, "Hey, like Indiana has an unbelievable music program. You should check it out." And I had no idea. I didn't know anything about Indiana. Like it wasn't on my radar at all. And I was like, "Okay." And then Mr. May said something, and then I was like, "Okay, that I'm in." He was like,
Yeah,
I believe actually it's the number one music program right now in the country." So I was like, that was my hook. I was
yeah.
like, okay, I got to see if I can make it into this school. So I went down
Mm-hmm.
for a trumpet lesson, and I took a lesson with Mr. Rommel at IU. And once I got to the campus, I was like, all right, I'm coming here.
Yeah.
I think
I
everyone
mean,
has that experience when they go to IU for the first time. I wanted to be the best, right? So I
yeah.
was like, if I'm going to be the best, then I have to go to where the best would go.
Yeah.
And that was Indiana. And it was an unbelievable experience going down there for the first time and taking a
Mm-hmm.
lesson. And so I auditioned there, and I get in, and I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. So I get down to IU, and I remember my very first lesson as a student. I was playing something, and I messed something up, and Mr. Rama was like, all right, it's fine, let's start over. Or he was like, keep going, or whatever it was. And I stopped, and I was like, hey man, I don't want to be like a coddled student. I want you to be like, Whiplash wasn't out yet, but I was like, I want
Yeah.
that. I want
Right.
that. That's how I'm going to get better.
Not my
Uh-huh.
tempo.
I'm not going to get better if you're telling me I'm good. I want you to tell me I
Right.
suck.
Yeah, like an
That I,
athlete that wants to be
Right.
coached hard,
yeah, I wanted
you
to be
know?
coached
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. And he was like, you got it. And he did. And it was awesome. It was like the best thing for me because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to sit there and just be another student. I truly wanted to be the best. And another reason why I chose Indiana was because I didn't want to go to a conservatory where it was just like eat, sleep, and breathe music. I know it's
Mm-hmm.
contradictory to what I said about being the best, but I wanted to have a good balance of like social life and sports and then also music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Indiana because they had all those things as well. Great Greek system, awesome sports, great campus, parties. Like I wanted the full college experience. That's why that's another reason why I went to Indiana. So
Yeah.
cut to my sophomore year, I'm doing a musical with Jesse Odenbach off campus. It was HMS Pinafore. I think it was like City of Bloomington, something, I don't know, some musical off campus. And we're in rehearsals one night, and she's, hey, Straight No Chaser's having auditions tonight. And I was like,
What? Yeah.
what? I don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
She's, it's a cappella group on campus. And I'm like, I don't really know what a cappella is. What's that? And
Mm-hmm.
she's, oh, it's they just sing. There's no instruments. I
So even
was
though you had been on campus for a year or so, you had no idea who they were?
no clue.
Wow.
Because if I wasn't at the music school, I was at the frats, just
Oh, I mean, they run around in the same circles.
ish,
Yes, yeah.
And you
ish,
had no other experience with acapella otherwise.
zero,
Yeah.
zero.
Zero. Interesting.
Did you know what it
Uh,
was?
Not really. I mean, like
Mm.
I knew rockapella from
Yeah.
Carmen San Diego, but that was the extent. Like I had
Hmm.
seen, we sang in choir. You would sing stuff unaccompanied, but it's not a cappella like how we do it.
Hmm.
So when she explained what it was to me, I was like, that sounds super lame. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
right.
I don't know why you'd think I'd be interested in that because I'm picturing like early 1900s Dartmouth, and it's like a bunch of nerds singing like weird songs. And
Sure.
she's no, no, no. She's Jermaine, right? I was like, yeah, I know Jermaine. He's in it. Like they're cool. They're like
Everybody does.
they party. It's like a frat, but they sing and they're awesome. And I was like, okay, okay, I'll audition. And it was the last night of auditions. I was the very last person to audition, and yeah, and then I got in.
Was it exactly how she had explained it?
Yes,
So in actual,
yeah,
yeah,
totally.
yeah.
All you bros were cool. Like
Hmm.
I'm still very close to like all those dudes from that group, Mickey, John, Todd,
Yeah.
Allwart, like Steve Wolf, all these guys that I was in the group with in college, I'm still super tight with now. Like I
Hmm.
talk to these guys every day. So it was awesome. It was literally a fraternity that just also sang.
When you
That's how it was.
when you got into the group, so it'd be the end of your sophomore year, how did your teacher at the music school, like trumpet guy, like how
Mm.
did he take it, or how did you see that going as doing the group and being a music major?
Oh, he didn't care.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. I remember one time when I was a freshman, I was like, okay, maybe I'll double major in voice. So I went to Tim Noble and I took some lessons with him. And I was like, I would like to audition to also be a voice major. I will not allow a double instrument major in my studio.
Wow.
Interesting. Why?
And
Yeah, the
he wants
reason.
you to be solely focused on the one thing.
Mm.
Oh, that
He
makes
is
sense.
like he's hardcore. So once he said that, I was like, all right, never mind. I guess
Yeah.
I'll take lessons on the side and just keep rocking the trumpet performance. But yeah, he was very like clear. You have to pick one, and I was like, that's dumb.
Yeah,
Why?
that's why I asked that because I knew that the just from experience of other guys being in the music school, that's very demanding. Like a Tansky or somebody that these other guys that went through the music school. I just knew that they knew about the group and knew how demanding that was, and I just wanted to ask. But if he was cool with it, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, his thing was like, as long as like you don't slip, if you start slipping, then we can have a conversation. But yeah, it was just like just come in and know your stuff and play well and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's not a conflict of interest. Honestly, like I attribute my ability to play the trumpet as well as I used to be able to play was because I started singing first because like my breathing was like perfect. Like I was
Yeah.
that's why I had such a leg up when I was playing trumpet so early because I already knew how to breathe properly to like how you would normally breathe when you're singing or playing the trumpet. It's not all that different. You're breathing from the same place. You don't want to
Right.
choke your breath and everything. So I attribute a lot of that to like taking voice lessons and really learning how to sing. And I always sing my trumpet parts before I play them
Hmm.
so that like when I play it, I can hear it. It's I don't know, it's like a weird mental
Yeah.
thing. And even on stage sometimes if if people watch like my right hand, sometimes you'll see me like
Doing
doing
trumpet
the
fingerings.
doing the
Yeah.
trumpet fingerings to
Uh,
my part. Because when you're playing an instrument, intervals are just like locked, right?
mm,
If you go from a C to an E on a piano and the piano's in tune, like it's going to be a C to an E. There's
Right.
not going to be any variation. So if I'm simultaneously doing the trumpet fingerings in my head, I'm like going to do it perfectly, right? I'm going to hit that
yeah.
interval
Right.
perfectly. I don't know. It's a weird psychological thing I do on stage.
I want to back up a little bit to when you were younger as a singer. You told me that your voice when you were younger was super high, and then you sang a
Yeah.
lot of high parts. And then when your voice changed, obviously you had to adjust. How was that adjusting from a super high part to a baritone?
Dude, it was devastating. Like when I say I was singing high, I was like doing the Mariah Carey whistle tones. Like
Whew.
I was like a Vienna boy, like castrati. Like I sang so freaking high. And then when I went through puberty, it all dropped down. But the most devastating part was I lost my falsetto completely. I literally could not make a sound. Like there was nothing would come out for a good 2 years. And it was like devastating. I was like,
Oh,
I don't know if I'll ever be able to sing again. I don't know what's happening. It was scary. Like it was legitimately scary. But luckily it came back. But I still wish I was able to sing all the tenor one stuff
oh,
Yeah.
I
and
mean,
chest.
as a baritone, you still have a pretty killer falsetto, so you still got a lot going on up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you still have some of those notes. What's the R&B song we do? The Shy
Shy.
tune.
Oh, shy.
That's got that
Yeah, I mean,
really high note
I could still sing
in the
high
middle.
falsetto, but
Yeah.
I still wish I had the high chest voice because
Yeah.
that's the moneymaker.
Big bucks.
What would you say, like, what was your role
It's like
in the group, if you can
just like a
like sort of
utility,
explain that? Yeah.
just like a utility guy. Like I wasn't singing a lot of solos.
Yeah.
My range was more limited in college than it is now.
Mhm.
I've added a few notes to my range, but I was the business manager for the group. But vocally, I think I sang like Insomniac and
Mhm.
I sang Straight No Chaser, but that was about it. But yeah, I was more just like a utility, just like a bro, just a bro
Yeah,
in the
and
group.
you wrote some lyrics for some stuff too, right?
I used to write the lyrics for Dry Campus, which was awesome.
Yeah.
So for
But
those who don't know, Dry Campus was a song that we did every year, usually in the spring. And there was a part at the beginning where we could tailor to that year at IU or to IU specifically. And Seggie was usually a part of writing those lyrics, and they were always great.
I remember
Yeah.
one time we went to Michigan for an
Yes.
invitational,
Yes.
and we changed all the lyrics to Dry Campus to be about U of M, and
Oh, that's
Crushed.
funny.
they lost their minds. It was awesome.
That's good.
But I remember my very first rehearsal in Straight No Chaser. Tyler wasn't there yet because he was still in high school. But me, Janicki, and Chris Ryan came to this rehearsal, and that was the $20
Oh, it
rehearsal.
was?
There
Oh
was
my
there
gosh.
was a huge fight between, not like
Yeah.
physical fight, but there was a huge
Yeah,
fight
because guys were
between
missing shows.
guys were missing shows and rehearsals because it was spring
Yeah.
break and like whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
didn't you guys had just made the group and you were supposed to do some mom show and it was like all the new guys and like
And half the
Ryan
guys showed up.
and you
Yeah.
guys like showed up and they're like, this isn't Straight No Chaser.
The story Tyler's talking about was okay. So when we first got in the group, like that weekend, you
Hmm.
guys got to fly on the private jet to Ohio or something or somewhere to do some gig. And you didn't take
Hmm.
us new guys because we didn't know any of the songs. So why would you take us? So
Right.
you guys were like, hey,
Oh my
go around to the sororities. So we would go and they're like, you're not
I don't
Straight No
remember
Chaser.
this at all.
what were we
Gosh.
supposed to do? Sing?
I think Ryan was just like, go introduce yourselves. And I was
Uh,
like, and we were like, okay. And then we went and like, we did one house and we're like, yeah, we're not going. But yeah, that
that's
first
funny.
rehearsal was hilarious because you guys were just arguing like hardcore. I won't say who it was. There was a contingent that wasn't supposed to go on spring break because there was a show
Some gigs we had. Yeah.
and then just went and didn't tell anybody.
Hmm.
So needless to say, like temperature was hot in that room. And me, Chris, Nick, and I were just looking at each other. What do we get ourselves into? These guys are insane.
I can't believe that
What's
was your
going to
first
happen?
rehearsal.
That was the
That's
very first rehearsal.
wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Hilarious.
all my memories of that first semester were like just like hilariously getting served. Like I remember one
Yeah.
time we were at Shooty's house and was this Lafayette? Does he live in
Hmm.
Yeah.
Lafayette?
Hmm.
We were at his house and we were playing Sync the Biz and everyone was like, "Oh, Seggy, you got to sit here next to Pat." Pat is like surgical.
Really good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't drink the bucket like twice. It just
That's
got
funny.
served.
Yeah.
I remember one time going to Nick's with you
Hmm.
guys, and it was the first time I had ever used my fake ID, and I only had one form. And it was a real ID. It was my cousin's ID, but I only had one form. And at IU, you need two forms. And Nick's was notoriously the hardest place to get in
Mm-hmm.
with IDs. And I would not have gotten in. The bouncer made me stand at the front while he was like inspecting it, looking at it for a good 5 minutes until this lady came through with her daughter and they had California IDs, which is what I was using. And he like looked at them next to each other. He was like, all right, man, you're good. And I was like, oh
That's
my
great.
goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's funny.
then there's the story at Nick's. I think it might have been the same night. Or no, because Tyler, were you there for when our friend from Las Vegas came out with his buddies and
I
said,
Mm,
probably couldn't go to Nick's though.
yeah.
okay. So we went out to Nick's afterwards with a group of guys, group of older guys that came to Bloomington to
Yeah, to
sing with
sing with
Straight No
us, right?
Chaser and record a song at Airtime. And afterwards, we're at Nick's, and when the bill came, I was like, "Hey, why don't we just offer to split it as a nice gesture? Because they'll say no, because
Yeah.
we're just some college kids, but it'll be a nice gesture." And I was like, Bill came and who's the business manager? Was it Mickey?
I don't know. I forget. It might have been.
I think it might have been Mickey before me. I don't remember. But
Hmm.
whoever was like, "Hey, we'd love to split this with you." The guy was just like, "Okay." And it was like, oh, total backfire.
I hate when that happens. That's funny.
But no, dude, college SNC was a trip, man.
Yeah.
When I think about IU, like all my memories stem from
Yeah.
SNC. It was awesome getting to do
What
it
was your
with, what is it?
what was your favorite memory of the college SNC?
There's so many, man. There's so many like just obscure moments in the group. But I think the best for me was on my birthday in Madison, winning the regional ICCA competition on my birthday. It was so
That's cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, but man, winning that divisional was, I think, a little bit more special because we didn't really know how it was going to go because we talked about it last episode doing that long medley. Like I
Hmm.
think a lot of us were excited but also nervous, like similar to like when we debut new medleys in the group now. It's nerve-wracking
Yeah.
because we think this is funny or some of us think this is funny. Are these 1,500 people, 2,000 people in front of us going to think it's funny? Who knows?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think winning those competitions was awesome. We
That
also
sounds
did
fun.
we did harmony sweepstakes and we got smoked by chapter 6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
so good, man. That group was so tight.
What year did you graduate then?
I graduated in 2005 and then
Okay. And then you leave Indiana
leave Indiana.
and I think a lot of our listeners know that eventually you went and did ships as well. But what happened right after you graduated?
I moved to LA
Okay.
and I went to USC for grad school.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and
That's right.
I studied with Boyd Hood, who played with the LA Philharmonic. I don't know if he still does or not. I doubt it. Like in my brain, I was gonna be on stage in my
Mm-hmm.
career in some fashion. I was
Right.
gonna try to be on Broadway, sit in the back of an orchestra. I don't know. I just knew that
Just anything on stage.
I just
Yeah.
knew that I was gonna be on a stage.
Many
I knew
stages.
Was
I
the was
I knew that's
was
what I wanted. I'm
Hmm.
not saying I knew it was going to happen. That was like my everything inside of me was wanting that.
Hmm.
was there a thought to either go to grad school or just go and do like a bunch of auditions, or that you wanted to do grad school first?
There was. I was thinking about moving to New York first, but then I was like, let me go to grad school, get that out of the way, and then start doing all the audition stuff. Before I went to grad school, I auditioned for the St. Louis Symphony, which I had no chance of getting as a new graduate. There's so many
Hmm.
guys going out for those parts, but it was a good experience, like learning how to audition for a professional symphony.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Um,
How long was
so
the program?
it's a 2 year program. I was only there
Okay.
for a year.
Hmm.
So after the first year at USC, my brother calls me and he's like, hey, we're pregnant with twins. We have a 2 year old. I could use your help down here if you want to come down and help with the business. And I was like, you got it, man. We're a very tight knit family. So it's if one of us calls each other and is needs some help, it's you drop
Yeah.
everything and you go. So
he was in Vegas, right?
He was in Vegas in the wireless business. So I moved that down there, and I became the director of operations for the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how long it was after that. It was probably like several months or a year when I get a call from Landau. And I think Landau called me in like October or like September. And he was like, I have a ship going out in January. Can you get a group together? And I was like, I'll try. I don't know. So I
Yeah.
just started making phone calls and eventually got Mulholland and Todd and Sean Wagner. And
Yeah.
then we went out and did 6 months, came back. I was in Michigan for a few weeks, just catching
Hold
up.
on. How were you able just to leave your work like that?
My brother
Cool.
was like, I get it.
Sure.
It's a cool opportunity.
It's like Euro Trip. He thought they was there the whole time. He had his phone calls and he checked in every
Yeah,
now and again.
exactly.
So you go on a ship, and where was that ship going to?
So we did 2 months in the Caribbean and then 4 months in the Med.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
unbelievable. It's such a like it's a very eye-opening experience because it really like drives home the fact that like anybody could eventually complain about anything.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like you're
Sure.
on this beautiful cruise ship in the most
Yeah.
beautiful places in the world, and you'll still
Yes.
be
And you're getting
annoyed by
paid. Yeah.
yeah, like literally like you should not say anything. But after a while, like, oh God, sushi again, or like, oh,
Yeah. I
like
can't have
Oh,
another martini. Another
yeah,
martini.
Barbados
Oh,
again. Jeez.
goodness.
these limos,
My
like
goodness.
it's just like hilarious, like
Yeah.
stepping outside of yourself and looking from 100 feet above yourself and be like, what are you
Yeah.
doing, you
Why
idiot?
are you
Shut up.
complaining? Yeah, seriously.
But it was awesome. I would never do it again for 6 months. I'd do it for
Okay. You just did one contract?
I did one contract. I told Tyler I would do another one with him, and then I bailed.
Oh, no.
He did.
So after the contract, then you move.
After the contract, I go back to Michigan. I was just there for a few weeks though, just to see my family, and
Yeah.
then made my way back to Vegas. And
Right.
then the following April,
What year was this?
so I was on the ship in 2007, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
2008. I don't know. It was like a year and a half before I got in the group. So then I come back to Vegas, and my brother's like, all right, so you got that out of your system. You're back. No more leaving. And I was like,
Little
more
did he
leaving.
know.
No more
Yeah.
leaving, bro.
Yeah.
You got my word. And look, I loved my job in Vegas. I loved living in Vegas. I loved working with my brother. We work together now again, which is awesome. But like my heart and soul was just
Yeah. On a stage
to
somewhere.
be doing some sort of performing. So I get the call from Stranger Chaser or the email or whatever it was. It was like, we'd love to have you come and audition. And I came and
Is that all
auditioned.
you knew? Like how much of what was happening with us at the time were you aware of?
So Charlie was in Vegas at the time.
He was.
So
That's
we were
right.
hanging a little bit.
Okay.
I,
So you
I
knew a little bit about what was going on.
not really.
Yeah,
Like
because there wasn't really much going on.
there was nothing going on. You guys were just
Well,
chilling,
so we had
replacing
gotten
dudes.
signed and then we did an album and I think we did a month of shows and then it was in that spring
Yeah,
that I
in
think,
April.
yeah. So it was like less than a year after we actually started.
But I don't think PBS had come in yet when auditions were
No.
happening.
Mm-mm.
So I don't think anyone really knew the plan. I mean,
The second holiday album was in the works, but I don't think we had started it yet because you guys were on that album, right?
Yeah, and
you
I
didn't
think
start
Yeah.
that until after PBS.
the thing
Yeah.
that you did know was I think that
That was over the summer, and then I think PBS was sometime in August. But I
Yeah.
think you were already in the group. Yeah.
and I
'Cause
think you already
PBS
had a 50 show fall tour like ready to go.
Yeah. So that was the first big one.
PBS was Tyler and my first show with the group.
But I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to talk about that, but that was a lot.
It was
Like, I
awesome.
feel like that was a lot for you guys,
It
right?
was
Just
awesome.
to learn all
I
of that
loved
stuff.
it.
And
I
yeah,
loved being back in the game and
for sure.
learning. When the original group got signed, I was jealous.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not too proud to to admit that because it was dumb luck, just
Mm-hmm.
a random video catching. And I was like, oh man, that could have been a video from any other iteration of the group, right?
Sure.
Like the years you were in it, the years Tyler and I were in it. So I was like, dang, dude, like that could have been us. That would have been sick. I was happy for you guys, like
Of
100%.
course.
But
Yeah.
also, like, it's like when I go see a Broadway show. Like I saw one last night and I always enjoy it and I always have a great time. But most of me is just like very jealous that I'm not on stage the whole
Yeah.
time. So when I first heard that the group got signed, I was like, dang, man, like super envious and jealous. And it was like back to work. And
Mm-hmm.
then everything works how it's supposed to.
How
And
it's
then
supposed to. That's
a
right.
few months
Yeah.
later, here Tyler and I come and we're in the group and then we hit the ground running and it's
And
awesome.
now you look back on it too, it's interesting that when you guys auditioned, you also got in together each of the times the college and the professional group. Like,
One of us is each
it's
other's
cool.
good luck charm. I don't know
Sure.
who it is, but one of
Yeah.
us is definitely each other's good luck charm. I need to
Is
go to
it?
we should go to the casino together.
You
That's what
We
we
should.
should do.
should. We've been
Yeah.
in a lot together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have many.
We've
And
had a
we'll
lot
be
of
in we'll be in
opportunities.
many more.
We'll be
Yeah.
in many more. That's right. Yeah.
But
Wow,
yeah,
that's cool.
it was awesome, dude. Getting that call
Yeah.
to have an opportunity to come audition was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my interview, I was just like, you guys should stay at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take anybody.
Yeah.
Why split the money 10 ways when you could split it 8 ways?
Mm-hmm.
And and you guys
It
just
was
like,
early on. The brand was a concern. The brand was a 10-guy group, so that was a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
concern. And I think
I mean, I'm
it
glad you
was it
didn't
was early. Yeah.
because like I had a full-time job. I was working. I was doing well. I loved my job.
Yeah, I
You
was gonna
know,
ask what the conversation was like when you went home and you said to your brother, "Hey man, I know I said I wasn't gonna leave again, but I'm in this group
he
now and
he wasn't happy for sure. Like he was, and I don't think he wasn't unhappy because I was leaving. He
Mhm.
was unhappy because he was just scared for me.
Yeah, because
He was
it was
like, dude,
unknown.
yeah, he's dude, I know how much you make because I pay you. I know how much you will make as we grow this, and I don't want to see you just completely lose all that to
Hmm.
go do this thing and then it flares out and then you come crawling back and then it's like uncomfortable, right? He's a big brother and he's like always going to look out for me first
Hmm.
and foremost. But now obviously it's all good. He was right to be skeptical. There was no money, there was nothing really, none of it's guaranteed. It still isn't. So
Yeah,
but now we're a little bit proven 16,
sure.
17 years in.
Hmm.
But
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure my parents are probably a little skeptical too.
Oh yeah.
I'm working with my brother, everything's going well, and then now I'm going to leave to pursue
Again,
this thing that's
yeah.
not
A
anything
thing
yet.
yet? Yeah, not a
Yeah.
thing at all. Yeah.
So it's risky, but my parents, I've been very blessed. Like in our culture, like in the Middle Eastern culture, like it's very rare for parents to be how my parents were. Like my parents growing up, like were very Americanized and very like education driven. Like you need to get straight A's,
Yeah.
you need to be, excuse me, involved in everything. Like they signed me up for every sport when I was little, every activity just to find my way, see what I was good at, see what I wasn't good at. And when it landed on, because I played sports my whole life too, all through high school and everything. And when I was doing all the music stuff, generally in our culture, like that's not a big thing. Like that's, at least when I was growing up, there was no other Assyrians or Chaldeans in band or choir or anything. It wasn't like
Right.
parents didn't really support that. They weren't that supportive of those kind of things, like the arts, basically. But like my parents were cool, man. They're like, you have a gift, I guess. So let's
Yeah.
nurture it and help you grow it and see where it takes you.
I feel
Did
like all of
your
us have been super lucky with that, right?
Oh
Right.
man,
Every single
for
one of
sure.
our families has been supportive with everything. And yeah.
Didn't your dad have a pretty inspirational speech before he went to college?
Yes, he did.
Can you
He
share it
did.
here or no?
He did. My mom was driving me to Bloomington. I don't know if it was like for orientation or for something. And this is the point where I went from being a boy to a man, I guess. He was like outside doing yard work as he does like 24 hours a day. And he comes and knocks on the window as we're backing out of the driveway. I roll down the window and he just looks at me and goes, "No babies." And then he turns around and walks away. I was like, all right,
So
loud and
good.
clear.
10-4.
Loud and clear. I mean, he wasn't happy that I was going out of state. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
he wanted just he would have preferred me to stay close just because
Well, yeah,
it's family.
of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
That's funny.
that was my
That's
birds
great,
and the
man.
bees talk.
Yeah.
My dad's
Um,
a man of few words, so it was cracked.
Man, that is all really interesting. I loved hearing a little more. I'm not sure I even knew some of the stuff.
Yeah.
So why don't we throw it over to Tyler? And he's going to go through questions that we received from our unofficial, official Instagram post that we made a couple days ago, asking you guys to write in. And I know that we have received a lot of interesting questions. So why don't we go through some of those right now, Tyler? Let's do like a rapid
Rapid
fire
fire?
type deal. Yeah,
So, all right, let's go to them. Thank you for
let's do it.
everybody who submitted questions. Italy girl Debbie asks, you mentioned you were in Vegas when you joined SNC. What were you doing? And you mentioned the wireless business, but what exactly, I'll just elaborate on it. What exactly for them what were you doing exactly?
I was a director of operations for Wireless Experts, which is my brother's company with his business partner, Vinny. And my role was to basically be the liaison between him and Vinny and all the store owners, all the franchisees, help expand the business, created a B2B arm where we were doing deals with the police department, the fire department, the city, different corporations, and handling all the commissions and all that kind of stuff, all the ordering, inventory, all that stuff.
Cool.
She wants you to email her 5 things you did last week to make
Okay,
sure that
no
you're
problem.
doing.
Okay. Titanium underscore turtle underscore. Do you still play the trumpet? And if so, do you bring one with you on tour?
I don't play anymore. I wish I did. I should play more. I did bring it on one tour and it
You
was really
did.
cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool to like just play in those halls. Maybe I'll do that again this fall, just bring one out and mess around. But I do need to get back to it. I'll bust it out probably like once a year. And I will say, although I can only play for 42 seconds before my lips are fried, the tone is still there.
All
It's all
right.
Come
there.
on.
It would take
Uh,
me about a year to get back to probably where I was.
yeah, you lose that for sure. 81 asks, have you ever considered pursuing a career in stand-up comedy?
I haven't, but I want to, but I'm probably too afraid. But I always say I'll do it someday. I have a whole thing already written.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, I've
so
got
I'm
a
sure you have some
lot.
material.
I've got a lot of stuff written. It's all about Mike.
This
I
topic.
would like to try it someday. I would like to try it someday.
I mean, in a way, you do it when you do your intros, right? Because I mean, it's not like joke, but you're trying to get a reaction out of the audience, and usually that's laughing. So you're
Uh,
doing it.
I'd love to be able to speak freer though, and you can't really do that at our shows because it's a family show. So
Yeah. Nice.
All right, this is a user I've never heard before, Mike Luganbill. Have you heard of him?
oh, here we go.
I got a good one.
No, it's pretty safe. He asked what your inspiration was for the La Vie en Rose arrangement.
I don't know. I just heard the song and really like it,
Hmm.
and it's really short. So I was like, it's not going to be its own thing. It's too short. So I was thinking about what I could put it together with, and then Love just made sense. It was like a nice switch up with the vibe and Know Thy Voice, right? Like I know
Yeah.
what I'll sound okay on. So yeah, that was it.
Let's see. I think I had a write-in from Ryan Allward.
Well, here we go.
No, he asked a good question. He asks, who do you think is the stand-up comedy equivalent of your a cappella on stage performing style?
Like
What's that?
Wow.
Straight No Chasers performance style.
I don't know. He just said a cappella on stage performing. I asked him, I said you were going to be on the pod and for him to ask you a question. So that's what he said.
Who would be the stand-up comedy equivalent of our a cappella performing style? That's tough because
It's clean.
it's not going to
Mhm.
be like a killer, right? It's not going to be like a Bill Burr, a Chappelle, or those
Yeah.
guys. It's not going to be Shane Gillis. It's not going to be Normand.
It's probably someone clean, right?
Yeah,
Someone like,
it's
Nate
probably
or
maybe like Brian Regan.
great
I'd say
question.
Regan. It's a little subdued.
Yeah.
yeah,
We're too animated for Nate. I think Regan is a good comp.
I like it.
Cool. Thank you, Ryan. A asks, what's your favorite solo?
My favorite solo. It's hard to choose between the two of them. And
Yours or of just
yeah,
It
of
it
anyone's?
it just says what's
No,
your
I know.
favorite solo? I
I
assume
know.
Seggy.
I know. Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know all the things I've sang. I will say, just for the sake of nostalgia, I'll say Insomniac.
Oh, nice.
Like it.
Wayback Machine. Billy Pilgrim.
Clint
Okay.
Eastwood.
SNC fan. She asked, she loved the Top Shelf intro video. Do you usually write those scripts or was that a one-off?
All those videos are very collaborative. So if someone has like a germ of an idea, they'll bring it and say, okay, let's flush it out and figure out how we can do it together. So I'm not writing all of anything. This is a group effort. This is if even if I have the idea, like that doesn't mean that's me doing all of it. It means I have an idea of something and then we all work together to fill it out and make it what it is. So
Hmm.
I like to be involved in all of them because I just like that. I like that side of the creative. Shouts to Robert too, because Robert
Yeah.
always has a lot of input and it's always
He
great.
does.
Yeah.
He's great. He's great.
Robert Hubbard at Emphasis
Shout
Emphasis
out.
Films.
Films.
Shout
That's
out, Rob
right.
Hubbard. Vicky Victoria, longtime chaser, asks, what favorite meal that your mom cooks is what?
My favorite meal my mom cooks is so my mom would probably be I'm gonna just throw my mom and dad in the same bucket because I was fortunate growing up because
Mm.
both my parents were awesome cooks. It's called biryani, and it's not the Indian biryani you're thinking of. It's far better and superior. It's a rice-based dish with all the proteins. So there's shredded chicken, meatballs, like small meatballs, potatoes, onions. It's so freaking
We
good.
should
Cool.
ask her to make some for the bus on this
Yeah.
next tour. That'd be great.
We could. If she won't, my Aunt Janet will make it for me anytime I ask. So
There you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
every holiday, she'll always make it and she'll say, I made you. Yeah.
That's good. Nice.
Let's do a couple more.
Yeah.
JP Mulhall.
Here we go. Do you do Africa?
No, that's not what it is. Yes. What is your favorite movie and why is it Four Brothers?
Okay.
There's got to be a
So
story here.
so we watched Four Brothers on the ship and it takes place in Detroit, right? And it depicts Detroit in the light that Detroit used to be in, which was murder capital of the world. So on the ship, John would talk trash about Detroit while we were watching the movie or whatever, and I would defend it because
Well,
I
yeah,
will
because you're from
defend
there.
Detroit forever.
Yeah.
And then it turned into this is the greatest movie of all time. How dare you besmirch the actors that have poured their heart and soul into this? Andre 3000,
Yeah. That's right. He
Academy
was.
Award watcher, was in this.
Nice.
Okay.
Wow.
So let's not
Uh,
but yeah, Four Brothers is not my favorite movie. If I had to pick my favorite movie, like just right now, gun to my head, I'd probably say Goodfellas.
wow. Okay.
Good one.
Let's do one more.
Okay.
Pam underscore A50 asks,
Pam!
what artist would you love to collaborate and even perform with on an arrangement?
Dead
E-
or alive only.
And even perform with on an arrangement. It just says what artist.
Alive, I would say, I'm not going to say Bruno Mars because I don't think that's feasible. I would say, for me personally, if I was going to sing something, or I would say Buble.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
that's
would
good.
work
Yeah,
too.
totally work.
Uh,
So if
but
you're listening,
if it was like Dead or Alive, I'd go Sinatra or even Dino. But Bublé would be awesome. Like
Yeah.
it bothers me that we haven't done anything with him because it just fits so well. But he's got Naturally Seven with him, so he's all set with acapella.
Yeah. And now he's on The Voice, but I'm not sure he's on the road.
Did you
know,
guys see the
and
SNL with
time
Shane?
soon.
No, I haven't yet. Was that
Some
last
of it,
week?
yeah. Yeah, some of it.
It's excellent. There's a great The Voice sketch. It's really good.
Nice. Awesome. We'd like to thank you all for writing in. And I'd like to thank you guys for listening to this episode, number 25, where we talked to Seggie and learned a lot about him. And I'm happy you're in the group, and I feel like you add a lot. And I'm really looking forward to the next however many years we're in the group together, man. Is there anything else you guys want to add as we wrap up?
Yeah, and I will say a cool thing about this group that it's wild looking back at the decisions that have that domino effect that lead to where you are.
Sure.
And my mom randomly driving down this street, seeing a house. That decision right there started all this.
Yeah.
Because if she hadn't done that, I wouldn't have gone to Rochester. IU wouldn't have been on my radar. I wouldn't have been in a show with Jesse. Jesse wouldn't have said, "Hey, you should audition for this group." And then me just go. Like all of those little things, I owe my whole life, my family,
Yeah.
to those small decisions. I'll forever be indebted to Jesse for being like, "Hey, you should go audition for this group." You know what
Sure.
I mean? It's like I was in LA staying with you, Mike, and we were supposed to record. That recording session got squashed, but we were supposed to
Oh
record.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I like connected with Jamie
That's when we met. Yeah.
and we started dating, and now we're married and we have two awesome kids. I say awesome because they're both asleep. But yeah, it's like those little things. Like I encourage everyone listening to just look back at their life and think about those like very small random occurrences, but had like a crazy
Mhm.
effect on the path your life takes. It's wild to think about. But yeah, before I get to the dates, I'll just say if anyone's ever looking for recommendations for movies, for shows, for podcasts, for stand-up comedians, hit me up. I'm always available. But
And you do have good recommendations. You do have good ones.
I like to think that I don't recommend the same stuff for everybody. Like I know
That's
what to
cool.
recommend Jerome, and I know what to recommend you, and it's not going to be the same.
Is
You
it
know what I mean?
old
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers games or?
It's movies with like explosions.
There you go.
I love it.
But Straight No Chaser is going on tour this summer.
Woot woot.
Summer of the 90s
Yes.
part 2.
Yes, we are.
We're going all over the place. We're going to places I've literally never heard of. And I'm very excited. You can get all the information at sncmusic.com. I think our first show is in Jersey. We're going to be in Jersey. It's a random little fly thing. Starting
going
out in
back to Jersey.
and then make our way down to the rest. So sncmusic.com. We got a couple shows with our bros in O-Town. A lot of new music. We got some new
Yeah, we're
threads.
pumped.
It's gonna be
Mhm.
awesome.
Gonna
Come
be
join
Cool.
us.
good.
All
I
right.
think
Yeah,
we
go
found
ahead.
our fall tour name. I'm not going to say what it is, but I
You
think we
did.
found the fall tour name. So that's
It's
exciting.
exciting. Yeah. That's cool.
And one more thing to Rich. I think Javi Baez is going to
Oh.
surprise people this year
Yeah, I
There we
didn't ask
go.
that one.
by not being on the team by the end of the season.
All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for the latest episode of the Unofficial Official Podcast, episode number 25 with Seggie Isho. It's been awesome to hear from you, Seggie. So, for Mike, Seggie, and Tyler, this has been the Unofficial Official Podcast, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.